And we're on live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Create Your New Life Real Estate Training, Session 6. It's an exciting time today. I've been saying this all morning. Today is a very, very, very special day. And the reason today is so special is because it's Thursday, and it's another day for us to get it in. All right, so let's get started. So the name of today is Time to Go Fishing Part 2 because there was so much information last week, we weren't able to finish it all when it came to lead generation. So I want to continue that conversation this week because lead generation is such a staple in what we're looking to accomplish here in doing this business. So we're going to talk about it again this week. Well, before we get into it, there's another great event coming up for those that have not registered for the leadership forum, which we talked about, the Black Leadership Forum, which we talked about last Thursday. That's going to be today. The event is actually sold out, so you can't come to it now. But I registered, and for those that did register, it looks like it's going to be a phenomenal event at Rice, a great networking opportunity with other African American professionals in different areas when it comes to organizations. So, but there's an event happening on a Tuesday, a couple of Tuesdays from now, that I want to tell you about, which I think is another great opportunity that you should take advantage of going to. So this is the Houston Real Estate Investment Opportunities panel discussion that looks like the American Turkic Business Council, which is the Turkey Chamber of Commerce, the Houston Metropolitan Chamber, and the German American Chamber of Commerce. So those three organizations are coming together to put on a luncheon. John Guest is actually the president of the Houston Black Real Estate Association, and he's going to be on the panel with these other two individuals, and looks like they're going to be talking about the different opportunities when it comes to investing in real estate here in the city of Houston. The reason that I believe it's such a great opportunity, and it's going to be on Tuesday, February 23rd from 11:30 to 1 o'clock at this venue, the Turquoise Center. And the reason that I believe it's going to be such a great opportunity is because they're going to be individuals there from an international scope. So you're going to be able to network and meet people from that are individuals that are connected to the Turkic Chamber, meaning that they have connections to the country of Turkey, as well as members that are connected to the German Chamber, which means that they have ties to Germany. So again, we're talking about international investors, international buyers. Well, these are the type of things in the events that you need to be attending to connect with those type of individuals. $5, which is not a lot of money to go to this kind of event. Yeah, you can go to a happy hour, you can go to a lunch and learn, you can go to spend money doing multiples of things, networking, or in the guise of networking. But if you never go to events that are outside of your scope, then that's how your business grows, is when you get outside of that comfort zone, outside of that scope of who you've always done business with. That's when you can get your business to continue to grow. So I recommend this event. I am going to be there. I RSVP'd this morning and paid my $25. And I recommend that you all do the same so you don't get caught on the outside looking in, like for today's event, for those that are not going to be able to make it because you didn't register for it. Okay, so back to me. All right. Let's talk about, typically we go through some of the current happenings that are taking place here in the city. And, this is one that I'm just really going to be thinking about probably for the entire first quarter until I figure out which way to best maximize the opportunity that's coming down the pipeline here in Houston. And that's Super Bowl 2017. So the consummation of the 2016 football season took place last Sunday. For those that didn't watch the Super Bowl, I guess I'll be a spoiler alert. The Denver Broncos won. They beat the Carolina Panthers. So that's done. 2016 is over. You can stick a fork in it. Yet, They're coming to Houston next. So we're 365 days away from this city being flooded with millions of people for the big game. So how are you going to capitalize? How are you going to capitalize knowing this information and this being in your city? If all of those people are here in this city and you haven't done anything to put yourself in a position to financially benefit, come February 9th or 10th, which will be after that Super Bowl, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you should see it as a lost opportunity. So I was having a conversation with a church member of mine. We were standing outside of the church. And it's a friend of mine. He works at NASA, so he doesn't really have any background in real estate or anything. But he's done well over his time being there, and has been in engineering. And there's some other people that go to my church that are of that echelon. And we were just kind of talking, and he was like, you know what? I need to get with a couple of other people, and we rent our houses out for the Super Bowl. And what we could do is two of us stay in the third person's house, and then we rent the other two houses out, and then we just split it 3 ways. And I just thought that was a genius idea. And it is. That's a genius idea. To get with people that have homes and that have relationships, create a community, you facilitate it, and you just put a little soft cost on there to where you can get paid for managing it. And you connect those individuals, put the platform together, you manage it to where you have individuals live with a friend, and then they're able to rent their homes out. During that time, you'll probably be able to get clear $5,000 a day because it will be such a lack of opportunity or places to stay. A simple supply and demand. So if the supply is not there, the demand is great, then the prices are going to be exorbitant. That's why this year, a bucket of popcorn cost you $15 in the Super Bowl stadium. A glass of wine, I found out, was $25 for an 8-ounce glass of wine. They were paying $25 in the stadium. Well, you can do that kind of stuff when the supply is low and the demand is great. And that's the type of atmosphere that we're going to be in here. We're going to be in about 365 days. So I thought that was a great idea. And again, if you want to brainstorm with me, we talk about it, talk about how to implement something like that. Like, I've given like 3 different ideas when it comes to capitalizing on the Super Bowl. And every single one of you all that are attending this call that's a part of our organization, you really need to be putting something in place to make sure that you don't miss this opportunity of having all these people in your city, because there's a lot of people that's going to be making a lot of money. And it's more than you just becoming an Uber driver. It's so much bigger than that. We're in real estate, right? God ain't making no more land. So there are big gains to be made in the industry that we're in, and you need to start thinking that way. So that was just my idea around that. Now, also, another thing that I want us to be able to capitalize on, so I read this real estate magazine, and for you all that are not familiar with this real estate magazine, and this is something, again, going to those national conferences, you find out information. So I found out that there's this company called RIS Media, and they do a real estate magazine every month from a national scope. And although it says $6.95 on here, you can actually sign up for it and get it for free. And I was able to get this magazine every month for free by attending the NAR conference. So you need to go to that. Well, there's an article in here that says Texas or bust, right here. And I made some highlights. Texas or bust. I thought this article was interesting because what this article has said, based on Allied Van Lines, that's the trucking company that has those orange trucks with Allied Van on the side of them. Well, they put out a report, and they said that Texas topped Allied's list for the 11th they have topped Allied's list 11 consecutive years. And in 2015 was no different, that Texas topped Allied's list when it comes to net relocations. So Texas is the #1 state. Last time I checked, Houston is a city in Texas. Texas is the #1 state when it came to people relocating into it. So Texas last year had a net 2,558 families coming inbound. And the second closest state was Florida, and they were at 1,611 families. So they were almost 1,000 families less net when it came to Texas. Now, everybody's going to say, well, Texas is larger. You're right. Texas is larger. So it's good to be in the largest state and be the largest city in the largest state. So you can just kind of imagine where those people are relocating to. And all I have to say is that we're in a good spot when it comes to being able to make some money in this city, because there's a lot of people coming on a daily basis. And trust me, there are real estate professionals that are capitalizing on that. And you need to be one of those real estate professionals capitalizing on that. So that's why I'm here every week putting that stuff in front of your face. But the one thing that I cannot do is that I cannot give you the effort to get the stuff done. I can give you the information, I can give you the exposure, I can encourage you, I can empower you. But what I can't make you do is move. So you have to make it up in your mind. You have to find a way on all of this stuff that I'm presenting to you every week or every moment, whether that's for a phone call or a text message or an email or just coming on to the trainings. You got to make it up in your mind with your thinking that you want a different life for yourself, that you want to create a new life for yourself. And that's going to require more than you just sitting there listening to me and watching me put something in place. That's going to require you to get in the game and partner with me and or put something in place for yourself. I'm just a vehicle and a platform to show you what I'm doing and say, hey, there's an opportunity for you to do this as well. Okay, so that's Houston. Now, also in this magazine, now we're going to be talking about lead generation again. But before we can really get to that step, and it was a reason that I planned out these talks the way that I planned them out. We first talked about the calendar, then we talked about the CRM. And the reason I did that is because once you go full-fledged into lead generating, you got to make sure your foundation is set. So, and I read an article that echoes again some of the things that I've said, because I don't want you guys just to be thinking that I'm coming up with this stuff off the top of my head. A lot of this information I've gotten off from an experiential standpoint, but there are experts in our business that are echoing the same sentiments that I'm saying when it comes to the business model, you creating the type of business model that you want. So there's an article, and again, this is a national magazine. There's an article here written by Nick Caruso that talks about getting organized. See that? Get organized and chart your course to more transactions is what it says. Get organized and chart your course to more transactions. Oh, what that said at the bottom? And more money, which is what we're in this thing for, right? You have a better way, or you have a better chance of creating a new life when you increase your income. So let's see what Nick had, some of the things that Nick had to say. Matter of fact, what I decided to do was pull that up and put a couple of the bullet points on a slide for us, so it'll be a little easier, as I'm walking through some of these items. So let's see what Nick had to say. All right. So this is from the article, Get Organized and Chart Your Course to More Transactions and More Money by Nick Caruso. One of the things that he talked about was, but he first starts the article off saying that the difference between agents making $1 million a year and agents making $25,000 to $40,000 a year isn't always the fact that one is better than the other. Oftentimes it's that one chooses different activities to focus on during the day. So Nick starts it off by saying that a lot of times it's not about your competency level. Sometimes this is just about your focus and what you tend to focus on, and in essence, what you've chosen to spend your time on. This is another thing that I always say, is that the only difference between rich people and poor people, because we all get the same 24 hours a day. Like, rich people aren't getting any more hours than poor people. We all get the same amount in the bucket. The only difference is that rich people choose to focus their time on different things than what poor people choose to focus their time on. Okay, so that's what Nick starts it off with. All right, so he says, Nick says these words were spoken by Verl Workman. He's the founder and CEO of Workman Success Systems. All right, so Workman suggested that agents need to approach their job from a CEO mindset, looking at their business as a business rather than a job for themselves. That can be the start of a more positive and productive line of thinking that will set them up for success. So Workman's coming from a space of thinking, changing your thinking and how you think of how you approach this business. The way you do real estate is, do you look at it from a standpoint of this being another job? Because real estate is the worst job that you can ever have. It's the greatest business, but it's the worst job you can ever have. So that's why you have to adjust the way that you approach it. All right, so Nick first said, he starts off by saying that you need to replace your current habits with better habits. And when he talks about better habits, he says prospect for 2 to 3 hours a day. Create a schedule and or use a time blocker. Now, these are two things that you all have heard me constantly talk about. Lead generation, right? So that's prospecting for and he says 2 to 3 hours a day, which was something that I used to do when I first got in this business, was lead generate from 9 to 12. So that's 3 hours every day. And create a schedule and or use a time blocker, your calendar, right? So that's what I've been talking about. So that's the first one. Replace current habits with better ones. The second one is have systems for everything. And you know me, got to create a system. He says if you routinely do a task 3 or more times, create a system. And that's it. Right on the head. Before you talk about getting an assistant or needing an assistant or it's not enough time in the day or any of that stuff, you need to systemize a lot of your efforts, because that'll double your productivity if you do it successfully. Also under this bullet point, have systems for everything, he says use a CRM. I'm telling you, I didn't write the article. Somebody else wrote the article. He says use a CRM system to stay organized. Set up systems first and consider an assistant second. So it's the same thing that I just said. Before you get an assistant, you need to make sure your systems are solid. Now, the third thing was find your bottlenecks and eliminate them. Where's your process getting stuck? So as you're going through your day, right, find out what stands in your way of closing faster and bust that open by focusing on that area. What's the snag in the process? Now, the great thing that we did for you guys was that we took our process, like our process of doing real estate, and we wrote it down and we put it in the 7-Dot training folder. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can take our process and build upon it. You ain't got to do it exactly how we do it, but you can take it. It's giving you the skeleton, and then you just build your process around our process. But the point is that you need to create a process, and you need to create systems around it. What do you do when somebody calls you and says, I'm looking to buy a house? What's the next step after you meet with them and they sign paperwork? What do you do next? Once you sit with somebody and they agree to let you sell their home, what's the system to get that person onto on the market? What does that look like? You need to have something in place that speaks to that. Okay. So find your bottlenecks and eliminate them. Alrighty. So want to talk about the CRM. All right, and then for the last 10 minutes before we get into our lead generation talk, going to talk about another article. So I just had Sydney. Looks like Sydney's trying to get on board. So let me try to invite her and see if we can get her going. Hold on, because some great information. Don't want anybody to miss. So let's see if we can get Sydney going. Okay, so I sent her another invite. We'll see if we can get her on here. Okay, so I'm telling you, this is a good article. I mean, this is a good magazine. There's another article in here, and I wanted to bring it out because we're talking about lead generation. Right? Spotlight on lead generation. It's not just me. Okay. This article is written by Mark Gould, and Mark Gould is the Vice President of Business Specialties for the National Association of Realtors and the Executive Director of REBAC. REBAC is actually the group that gives the accredited buyer representative designation. I don't know how many of you all knew that. So that's the organization that you take the classes, you qualify for, and then when you pay your yearly due for that designation, Reback is the company that goes for that. Oh, there's Sydney. Hey, look, Sydney made it. We got her on board. Okay, so let's talk about what Nick had to say. And again, I put that in a little PowerPoint, some of the bullet points, just so you guys can get a visual of the things that they had to say around when it comes to lead generation. So this again was RIS Media, and you all have access to these slides. You know, if you want to ever look back at the, if you ever want to just look back at the video broadcast, it's going to be in the same where it says click here to see the slides and live broadcast. All right, so Mark says, considering all the things real estate professionals must do and do well, effective lead generation strategies are among the most essential. Again, this isn't my words. This is somebody else clear across the United States, somebody that I've never met personally. Considering all of the things that we must do and do well, lead generation is among the most essential. So he starts it off by saying making lead generation is a priority, which is similar to what Nick Caruso talked about in his article. Make it a priority. Your efforts won't bear fruit unless you consistently devote adequate time and attention to lead generation activities. Well, what's adequate? Most experts say at least 20% of your time, but ideally much more. So we're talking about 20%. If you say your work day is going to be an 8-hour work day, okay? So that means 8 times an hour is 6. So that's 8 times 6 would be 640 minutes, roughly, right? 8 times 6. So that means 64 minutes is 10%, and 128 minutes is 20%. So again, where are we at? The 2-hour mark. Again, 2 hours a day on an 8-hour work day. 2 hours of it should be spent lead generating, at least 2 hours. It says you'll be more successful if you schedule these tasks into your day. It also helps to set specific goals such as a certain number of face-to-face meetings, phone calls, email messages, etc. In other words, contacts, right? That's what I call them, contacts. How many contacts are you doing? Are you measuring your contacts, right? And then again, here we go, time blocking. If you schedule these tasks, if you schedule the lead generation on your time block, and if you measure how many contacts that you're making, he says you'll be more successful, right? So this isn't just Michael G. Davis saying this. The next one was identify your target audience. Instead of trying to be all things to all people, establish priorities. Who do you want to target? Like, what type of properties do you prefer handling? What type of clients? What's your target? If you go to Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm's website, there's a tab that says RU topics, right? And if you scroll, you'll see on that drop down it says, are you retiring? Are you in charge of a probate? Are you into technology? Are you having a kid? Are you getting married? Like, those are targeted markets that we're going after. People getting married, people that are having life situations, right? In essence, charge of a probate, somebody done died. Get married, 2 people get married. That's a life situation, a life change. Divorce, are you getting a divorce? That's a life change. So identify your target audience. All right, the third one is, look at that, enter leads into a database. I think somebody said something about that a couple of weeks ago when we talked about CRMs. So what did Mark say? Mark said enter leads into a database. The most important tool in capturing and converting leads is a database. He says the most important tool. And that's why I'm not an advocate, if you just get into real estate, for you to be spending a bunch of money trying things out. Because you first get into real estate, you don't have any money. And it takes some time to, get a deal done, get over the learning curve, start getting consistent income. So you don't want to just start dishing out a bunch of money. I mean, HRR is already going to make you dish out a large amount of money. So I'm not an advocate for that. But I am an advocate for you paying for a CRM. And because I agree, like Mark says, it's the most important tool in capturing and converting leads. And if lead generation is the most important activity, and if this is the most important tool for you to capture and convert them, then you got to get one. And Wise Agent for the value, I believe, is the best one. And that's the one that I can train you on. It's $25 a month. Okay, so the next thing he says is develop your systems. Lead incubation requires multiple touches. So he's echoing again what Nick Caruso talks about when he talks about your systems. You need to have a system in place. You know, there are 4 buckets that when we have our initial phone call with a person, and if it's a buyer, there are 4 buckets that should be the end result of that phone call. Number 1, if they got credit issues, we're gonna set them up with our credit partner. Number 2, if the credit's good but they haven't talked to a lender, we're gonna set them up with the lender partner. Number 3, they got good credit and they got a pre-approval or they talk to a lender, we're gonna have a face-to-face, set them up with the buyer specialist, have that meeting with them. And the 4th one is they don't want, you know, they pre-approved, they got good credit, but for whatever reason you can't get them to meet with you. They don't want to use you, or they want to use somebody else, and they ain't quite made the decision, or whatever all the excuses and objections that they give you. If you can't overcome any of them, then you put them in the 4th bucket, which is follow-up. And that's where developing your systems, you can automate the follow-up on those individuals that you couldn't quite get to have a face-to-face with you. They may say, hey, look, you know, we maybe want to have a sit-down in 6 months or 3 months. All right. Well, you have something automated to remind you, and you can do that in Wise Agent, to remind you to call that person, and put them on a drip campaign where they get an email from you every month. So when you do make that call in 90 days, they'll remember who you are. Well, you can automate all that stuff. So you ain't got to remember that you need to call them back. You let Wise Agent remember it for you. All right. So the next one was ask open-ended questions. Try to capture as much information as possible on each lead. If you go into the 7-Dot training folder, the process for working with buyers, or the process for working with sellers, or the process for apartments, if you look at those questions, those qualification questions that we have, you'll see that they're open-ended questions. We use the forward technique. So we ask them, what type of work do you do? That's not a yes or no question. That's an open-ended question. What type of work do you do? Do you like what you do? How long have you been working, right? Are you buying this house for you, or is it for you and your kids? Are you married? How many kids do you have? Like, those are open-ended questions where you can build rapport. That's the whole concept of forward. Asking about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. That's how you build that, and you use that by doing open-ended questions. All right, so then he says track data. Keeping track of your efforts is the best way to know which tactics are most successful and which can be dropped. So you need to know what's working, especially when it comes to lead generation. And where are you getting your leads from? Are you getting them from referrals? Are you getting them from knocking on doors? Are you getting them from Zillow? Are you getting them from Facebook? Are you getting them from the email blast that you send out? Like, where are you getting your leads from? Because that's going to dictate where your time and your money needs to be best spent. Okay, we from a corporate standpoint, we get our leads. The bulk of our leads come from referrals and past clients. So when we spend our money on doing events geared towards referrals and past clients. That's why we'll spend $300 a month on Brian Buffini, who's gonna mail out letters to my past clients every month, which is automatic. I ain't got to think about it. I ain't got to do nothing. I just got to deal with the questions. I at least need to look at what the flyer is that they receive, so when they call and ask me questions about it, I can know what was sent. But it's an item of value, something that they'll actually open and read, right? But that's on autopilot. Well, I do that because historically it's shown that the majority of our closed transactions come from people that were referred from our circle of influence or people that we've done business with in the past, and it's repeat business. So we spend money there. Okay, what's third? Facebook. Well, Facebook has sent us Facebook and internet, right? So we spend money with Facebook and doing things around Facebook, all right? And then the 4th one is our listings, our signs. So it's so much you can do with a listing, and that's another reason why I push getting listings, because you can leverage those things. You can leverage other people's listings. That's an in way with for sale by owners. Okay, don't let me list it. Can I market it? All right. So you can be seen as having having an inventory. Oh, somebody's ringing. Hold on, let me see something. No, that ain't gonna work. No, that ain't gonna work. Okay, so that ain't gonna work. So the you that's why I encourage people to get listings, because there's so many things that you can do with a listing, and there's so much opportunity out there, that from a marketing standpoint. So that's where we get a lot of our leads from as well. And where do you, because you get a listing, what, you put the sign in the yard, you put it on HAR. When you put it on HAR, they're gonna put it on Zillow, they're gonna put it on Realtor.com, Homes.com. So they're gonna maximize the internet presence for you. Go ahead and add it to Craigslist, right? And then people are gonna come from everywhere asking about your listing. So whether it's your listing or not, you just get the opportunity to be able to market it, right? And the more listings, the more buyer leads you'll get. So track your data. All right, and online lead generation, and I talked about that. You know, what I've seen is that if you're going to pay for leads, and I know a lot of you are probably not at that point, but if you're going to pay for online leads, the best thing to do first is to build up your listing inventory. Get to at least 5 or 6 listings, and then when you do begin to pay for it, say I'll use Zillow as an example. We're a Zillow Premier agent, so we pay them something every month. Well, because we're sitting on 40 listings, but when they show us as a Premier agent, not only do we get people that are looking at other properties, the bulk of our leads are coming from people inquiring about our listings. Because before I was a Premier agent, a lot of those leads went to other people. So I'm able to maximize and capture the leads that Zillow's pulling in on my listings. So I would really recommend, before you do something like that, whether Zillow or whoever, that you maximize your listing inventory. Because those people that are selling those leads to you, that's all they've done. They're leveraging the MLS data, and then they've created a website using the MLS data and the properties and the inventory, and they're driving people to their site, and then they're taking those people that are inquiring on their site, and then they're selling them to us. That's all they're doing. So all you need to do is do the same thing. I mean, I get HAR. HAR sends us a bunch of leads from people inquiring about our listings. Our website, we get a bunch of leads from people that have seen our listings on our website. We get stuff from Craigslist, and none of that costs anything, but that's a lead. That's a buyer lead. So there's a way to draw leads in without having to pay for it. Okay, so 12:03, and that takes us right into our training, part 2 of lead generation options. Okay, so I've kind of got on my high horse, showed from a credibility standpoint what some of the other experts in the industry are having to say of these concepts that I'm training you all on, and wanting to get you all to buy in around, because from experience, I know they work. Other people are saying that they work. So if you apply them, I know it'll work for you. And that's ultimately what I want to do, is to help you guys be successful. Okay, so we talked about Zillow last week. So if you're interested in looking at Zillow and for sale by owners and things like that, then look at last week's call. Okay, so now I want to talk about the way that we leverage what we call as our buyers list. Our buyers list and our properties list, and it's called our hot list of buyers and properties and investment opportunities Gmail label. So I want to show you what we've done, what we've put together, as well as it is an opportunity if you want to come into the office, and you will be able to work this list that we've compiled and that we compile on a regular basis to help make these connections. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the hot list of properties and buyers. Some of you have seen it, some of you haven't, but this right here, hot list of properties and buyers, is a list that we've been populating since 2014. So the most recent, the oldest person on this list is from 2014. And ever since then, we've been adding people onto this list. So we have roughly, let's see. Okay, so we have roughly 218 people that are on this list. The most recent person being added, February 6th. So that was a couple of days ago. So from 2004, so from February 2014 to February 2016, for 2 years, we've been adding people to this list. And these are people that are looking to buy properties. The majority of them are investors, right? But can you imagine what we can do with 218 confirmed people constantly looking to purchase property? We get their criteria, their max spend amount, you got emails. So when you do get a listing, you can, if you create something like this for yourself, and again, you can come into the office and work mine all day long, but you create something like this for yourself and you populate it for yourself, it'll help you move properties a lot faster, and it'll help you be able to structure deals a lot better. You might need to sell a house. It may be a $30,000 house. You being a professional know it's worth maybe 40, 45,000. You may be able to, flip, sell it to an investor or something. Go ahead and build in your commission. You want to make $5,000 on it. Sell it to this guy for 40,000, right? They'll take 30. You get your 5,000 and you move on to the next deal. It doesn't always have to be about luxury homes. It doesn't always have to be about selling $1 million houses, $300,000 houses. At the end of the day, we're going after the commission. And a lot of times that commission can be structured into smaller deals if you have all of your pieces in order. So this is just the buyer's list. Now, if you're going to have a buyer's list, well, it's good to have a properties list. So where do you get the properties for these 218 buyers? Where are you going to get properties from for them to possibly purchase? Well, that's another reason why I say you need to work the for sale by owners, because that's a whole nother market. That's a whole nother secondary market that even with your retail buyers that you may be able to access some stuff that's not on the MLS. I don't care why the for sale by owner doesn't want to work with the realtor. They're going to end up working with them anyway, because I quoted the statistic a couple of weeks ago. In 2015, 93% of transactions involved a real estate agent, right? 85% of for sale by owners eventually sell their home using a realtor. Like, it's going to happen. It's the inevitable, right? But at this moment, I don't care. I'm glad, because now not too many people know about the property, know about the opportunity, so I can get in there and get it. So for sale by owners, the green sheet. Every week we go and get a green sheet. I get a green sheet, the one over there by my kids' school in Lockhart. So that's the Interloop green sheet. And it's real easy because it's already in my flow of the day. So every Thursday, like I did today, stop off at the little convenience store, pick up a Thursday green sheet, the Interloop, and then I go over here, right here by the office, and get the Southwest green sheet, pick up one of those. I do it on it talks about creating those habits, replacing those habits with better habits. That's my habit. Every week, get the green sheet, and I look in the green sheet to see what people have for sale. What are people selling? Because a lot of times when they're in the green sheet, they're not on the MLS. Now, yeah, there are agent stuff in there, but there's a lot of for sale by owners in the green sheet. All right. Craigslist. Craigslist is a great place to find opportunities that are not on the green sheet. So there are plenty of places that you can go to get the properties, and then what you do is you begin to populate your properties list. Now, we started doing the properties list around the same time we were doing the buyers list, right? So the buyers list was in February that year. The properties list, we started that in August of the same year, right? And for the properties list, now some of these properties have been sold already, right? But some of them may not be sold already. Some people may have had to take them off the market or for whatever reason. What it allows you to do is that when you get the zip code, the way that we work this is that with Google, you can do a Control F function, and I can do a search for the zip code. So say I say 77033. So look, this Google right here is populating it, and it's telling me that I have 83 properties with the zip code 77033 on this list that I've created. So I love spreadsheets. 783. So I can just click the arrow, and the arrow takes me to all the properties. All right, say somebody wants to be in 3rd Ward. Everybody like 3rd Ward. All right, so it's telling me that I have 65 places that have 3rd Ward. All right, say it's Bel Air. I have any for Bel Air? All right, look, somebody want to be in Bel Air? We got Bel Air opportunities. We have 9 of them. So that's how this thing works. And again, you just do it on a consistent basis. You keep building it, keep building it, keep building it. Now, when you go down to the bottom of the property list, you'll see that December of last year, we stopped really adding properties to the property list. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason we stopped adding it was because Google, now that Google has started, and I hope all of you know this now, that you have 3 different inboxes. So you have a primary inbox, a social media inbox, and a promotions inbox. Well, because we've been on, I've been in real estate so long, and I've got my name on different lists and things like that. See, a lot of us, we see it as spam, so we don't like getting spam, so we get mad and we unsubscribe from all these e-blast lists. Well, I didn't do that. So I keep it, and I'm glad that Google now has made it a lot easier for me, and it puts it in my promotions tab. So now when I get all of these people that have different properties, like this great flip opportunity in West Houston, price reduced again in Oak Forest, let's see, I can just kind of go through the list and see what's coming through. Sold, brick house, fixer upper, duplex, commercial, 48,000, low work, great rents. So I get all of these properties that come across my desk on a daily basis. And what I decided to do was to create me a label, and that label says investment opportunities. And now I've already added 512 of these, what some people call spam emails, into this one label that I can go through and find opportunities for those buyers, right? So now I have buyers wanting to buy, and I have sellers wanting to sell that are not on the email list. If I can make that connection, how valuable have I now become? Have I created a secondary market? Absolutely, I've created a secondary market. So now it's not just about me going to the har.com and trying to find a property for my client. Because what's everybody talking about? Oh, inventory is low. I can't find anything for my buyers because inventory is low. Inventory is low. All right, well, create your own inventory. So I got a whole second area of inventory that I can go to if I have a buyer that isn't able to find something on the MLS, or get into a multiple offer situation to where now my buyer is going to be having to pay top dollar for it because he's competing with all these other people. Well, create your secondary market. I really encourage you all to look at that as an opportunity. So then we're talking about lead generation. So those are leads. If an investor calls you and says, hey, I'm an investor. If you ever find anything in the Pearland area between 100 and 200,000, let me know. Hey, that's a lead. You take that guy and you put him on your buyers list, right? And if you ever call a for sale by owner and he says, I hate working with agents. I'm never going to work with an agent. You guys are horrible. You never do what you say you're going to do, right? Well, that's still a lead, because I know that this guy has a house in Pearland and maybe he wants to sell it for $150,000, right? So I can make that connection, and between that buyer and that seller, and then I'll just put my commission in the middle for brokering the deal. That's what the term broker means. Broker means we connect. We put deals together. That's what our name means. Sometimes we forget something as simple as that the whole point of our industry and the service that we provide is that we're problem solvers. If a person is looking to buy a house, we help them find that house. If a person is looking to sell a house, whether they hired us or not, as an industry, it's our role for them to be able to facilitate the sale of that house. And those that are doing that, I read in an article, they said there's a difference between a counseling agent and a facilitating agent, and that 20% of the market are counseling agents, and those that are counseling agents are the ones that are making all of the money, and those that are facilitating agents, that are the ones that are just following instructions, going through the rigmarole of things, and not really helping the buyer and the seller get to a common goal and a common end and figuring it out. Those are the ones that are not making money. Right? So you got to transition into being a counseling agent, putting things in place that are a true value to the industry. Right? It ain't just about the commission. Trust me. There's way more money in you becoming valuable to people and valuable to the industry. Okay. So That's that. And again, if anybody wants to work this aspect of things, because I don't have anybody really working it right now. If somebody wants to come into the office, there's plenty of opportunity for you to come into the office. Trust me. This is one area that we can work on. We can have you work on. And you talking about you want leads? We got plenty of them. Okay, so that's an opportunity. All right. The last thing we're going to look at is, it's called probate data. And again, if you go to our website, you will see the RU topics, and the RU topics, it says, are you in charge of a probate? All right, so that's one of our target markets. Somebody that the person's passed away, and now that person has been made the administrator or the personal representative of the estate. Okay, that's a great market to be in, because there are not a lot of licensed real estate professionals. Really, there's just not a lot of people working that market in general. There's a lot of people working, especially investors, that are working the foreclosure market or the pre-foreclosure market. A lot of agents working the for sale by owners, a lot of agents working the expired listings. It's not a lot of people working the probate side of things, and there's a lot of opportunity in that. So because I saw that it was a lot of opportunity in it, I did some things, right? One of them was I went and I become a certified probate real estate specialist. So I have a designation now when it comes to doing probate real estate, and I'm all about designations. Now, when I took, so it trained me on the concept of how to best work with them, the things that I need to look out for. It gave me the resources. No point in reinventing the wheel. You find something that works, and then you find somebody that's done it, and then you just buy it from them, and then you implement it. That's the whole concept of franchising, right? You got the model, I'm gonna get it from you. So I got the certification, right? Went and got me a nice little brochure created. Look at that. Oh, upside down. Here we go. Are you in charge of a probate brochure that gives just a little handout that I can pass out. Notice my face is not on there anywhere because people do still prejudge. Got a brochure done. Got a web domain, www.areyouinchargeofaprobate.com. I'm sorry, www.inchargeofaprobate.com. Got a web domain that redirects people back to our website. And on our website, we have that RU topic page that speaks to probate. It has the probate timeline and some videos and some articles, just things that speaks to that, right? Remember, we do marketing from a rifle, not a shotgun. So we're strategic on how we do it. All right. Well, one of the things that I was afforded by becoming a certified probate real estate specialist was I got access to a company that actually gives probate leads. You can pay them, and instead of me having to go and look through the Chronicle for legal notices or the internet or the Harris County clerk's website to find out who's just opened up a probate, they'll give you all of that stuff every month. It was beautiful. And then if I did have to go the other rate, I would, because the county only gives you the name and the address. It doesn't really give you the phone number or the email. Well, I would have to go and try to find the phone number, the email, or go knock on their door. Well, this company gives you the phone numbers. It gives you the email addresses. It gives you the attorneys. It gives you the attorney's contact information. It gives you the properties that may be associated. It gives you the beneficiaries. It gives you the zestimate of what the property may be valued at. I think this is a beautiful. It's a beautiful investment, right? So we've signed up for it, and what it has done for us, it has put us in a position to where, again, I like my spreadsheets. We can create a spreadsheet of all of these different probate opportunities. Now look, you see up here it says that this search is only between May 1st to November 15th. May 1st to November of 2015, and then this one is from September 1st to December of 2015. Okay, so those are 90-day window. That's a 90-day window. So in a span of 90 days, just 90 days, right? We get 244 probate leads. Okay? We got, and look at all the information that we have. And the biggest thing is we got the Zestimate, right? And what the Zestimate allowed us to do is for us to prioritize. So look at these numbers. $1.4 million, it's a probate case. $1.13 million, right? You talking luxury? I got luxury for you. Don't worry about it. It's in 639,000, 606. The opportunity is there. It's just about figuring it out. This is another field that if you want to come into the office and partner with me on, then you can do it. Now, I have some agents that have shown interest in this. I have some agents that have shown interest in the investment side. But look, there's opportunity for everybody. If you're serious about it and you're willing to work, you talking about you want leads, you meet me at 9 o'clock and we'll put you to work doing the things that not I'm saying is important, that from a national scope, because I read the articles and all of that stuff. From a national scope, they're saying lead generation is the thing you need to be focusing on, targeted lead generation. So if you don't have any leads that you're working, you need to come in and let me put you on something. Let me put you on. That's what we're saying these days. Put you on. Let me put you on because we got it. All right. So these are the people. All right. Here's a list of all the personal representatives that have phone numbers. Right. So the ones that have phone numbers, so that was a list of 200 and something. These are all the ones that have phone numbers. So we got about 107 of them that actually have phone numbers that I ain't got to go and try to find the phone numbers or go knock on their doors. Look at that. $2.1 million, 1.5, 1.2, 1.1, 1,841,000. And they have phone numbers, right? You talking about cold calling, that's what we're going to cold call them people. But when you're dealing with probate, you got to do it a certain way with a certain script. All right. Then, because they give us the attorneys, we're able to find the attorney over this 90-day period. Now look, remember, this is only in a 90-day period. So that means January ain't on here, February not on here. You know, this is an ongoing thing that you can pull these kind of leads as long as you know how to convert them and how to leverage them. All right, so look at these. So these are the attorneys. So in that 90-day period, this attorney, Vanessa Lankley Hauser, had 9 clients that had a probate situation. You think that's a person that we might want to be taking to lunch, trying to meet somewhere, you know, send them something real nice, just pop up at their office and hand them a brochure and let them know what we can do for some of their clients? Absolutely. Judy Ann Robinson, she had 7 clients. Bobby Dover had 21. So we're able to find the attorneys that are doing multiple deals and look to foster relationships with them. What? Date them. Let's date somebody. Well, that's what that allows us to do as well. And again, this is a 90-day period. You're able to find the ones that have had multiple opportunities. And look at that. Look at that. 16 attorneys with 3 or more clients, 22 attorneys with 2 clients, right? You're talking about leveraging your time. Hey, go after those 16. Stop trying to go after hundreds of people. Get 16 people that are connectors that can put you in front of 100 people. That's what you're looking to build. Who you're looking to build relationships with, right? So this is just another opportunity when it comes to lead generation, and you all partnering with us here at the corporate office, coming in and working some of this, working these fields, right? I can give you the field, and I can give you the equipment to work the field. But I can't have you plant the seed. Like I can give you the seed, but I can't make you plant it. I can't make you tend the soil. I can't make you water it. I can't make you do any of that stuff. All I can do is give it all to you. And the opportunity is here, and it's here for you to come get it. And the person that's ready to come get it, I'm going to give it to them. And the reason I feel so passionately about that, because everything that I do it based around when I first got into the business. If I had an opportunity like this, how would I have approached it? When I first got into the business, if I would have had somebody that said, look, Mike, all I need you to do is come into the office every day and I have everything that you need. I have the leads, I have the resources, I have the strategy, I have the script. I'll spend time with you role playing. I'll give you advice. I'll listen to your calls. I'll give you critiques. If I had all of that, when I first got into this business, I know without a shadow of a doubt that not only would I have jumped on it, it would have made me so much more successful in this business, right? But I didn't have that. So I created it for other people. And it's up to you to take advantage of it or not. And the reason that I did it, I didn't do it for, I did it for me, really. I did it for me because this is something that I want to give back to the industry. So it doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't come to the office and call these people. It's not going to make me stop doing it because I'm going to keep doing it because I made a promise to myself that I was going to put myself in a position to be able to provide it. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And it's out there for those individuals that want to take advantage of it, right? So that's why I wanted to spend time really showing you guys all of this stuff that's been created and the opportunities that do exist if you do want to take advantage of it, because this here could be a great launching pad for you to continue to build and grow and model your business and create the type of business that is possible, especially being here in Houston with everything else that I presented here today. So it's a lot of great stuff. Look, this is what I'm going to end it with. So, magazine, you need to read these magazines. This is the Houston Realtor. You get a Houston Realtor, you get a Texas Realtor, and you get Realtor. You need to read all three of them, right? And if you need to go get this RIS one. You need to get this one too. You'll be surprised how farther you go as a professional, but just solely based on information that you know that other people don't know. You'll be surprised. Okay, but in the most recent Houston Realtor, and guess what, guys? We get the magazines. They mail y'all the magazines every month, and they're here in your mailbox in the office. Come get your magazines and read them, okay? Because after a while, Brooks just throws them in the trash can. So that's great information that they're sending to you. You pay for it in your dues. You might as well read them, and you need to read them. Okay, look. This says 2015 NAR issue brief. This was the Omnibus Appropriations Bill, the real estate provisions that were in the Omnibus Appropriations Bill that Congress passed. Yeah, we don't just talk about Houston. We don't just talk about Texas. You need to know what's going on from a national standpoint, from a global standpoint, state standpoint, local standpoint. You need to be the expert. You need to know what you're doing, right? Federal. Congress passed this bill, this appropriations bill. Obama has signed it into law. It's ready to go. I highlighted a couple of things that I feel like you can leverage. The first one is under federal tax policy, the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act has now been extended for another 2 years. Now, for those that do not know what the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act did, what the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act did, it was instituted back in 2007 when we started going into the recession and we started having all of these foreclosures. Well, what that act allowed, previous to the act being instilled, if your house was foreclosed on and say you owed $100,000 on it to the bank, and it went to foreclosure, and the bank sold it or somebody picked it up at auction for $70,000, that left a $30,000 deficit between what you owed the bank and what that person purchased. So the bank got 70 grand back for it, but you owed them 100, so there's a $30,000 loss that the bank has now taken. Well, two things would happen. Number one, the bank will file what's called a deficiency judgment against you, and they will sue you for the $30,000 and will put it on your credit. So you would have that credit as like a creditor, a $30,000 default on your credit along with the foreclosure, and the judge could file for the bank, and you would be responsible for paying the bank that 30 grand, even though you lost the house. That was before 2007. The second thing was that the IRS would see that as income, ordinary income that you received for that year. So even though your house got foreclosed on, because there was a $30,000 loss to the bank, the IRS saw that as if the bank gave you $30,000 and you would have to pay ordinary income tax against that $30,000. Right. Now, how many of y'all knew that? I mean, I was surprised when I first heard it, but it's true. You can look it up. So what this act did in 2007 was that if the house was your homestead, it foregoed you having to get you taxed by the IRS. So it took that provision out of it. And it said that if the house is your homestead and it gets foreclosed on, or if you do a short sale, you will not be responsible for paying taxes on that difference. So that was a great win, right? Now, it didn't deal with the deficiency judgment. So it was still up to the bank if they want to file that against you or not if the house gets foreclosed on. Now, what it did do, though, if you hit and again, we're talking about targeting. If you go after short sales, it's a great selling piece to people that need assistance to prevent them from getting their house foreclosed on. And the short sale market is a great market once you get it, because, hey, look, you get paid a commission just like in a traditional deal. So the last couple of years, we didn't know if the act was going to get extended, right? So, which was okay, because there was a lull when it came to the short sales. Like there was a great lull after 2012. You weren't really seeing a lot of short sales again because it turned into a seller's market. Then prices start increasing. So now when prices start increasing, I can now actually sell the house and get from under it, instead of the situation before when the prices were low, I'm behind, I need to sell a house and I got to do a short sale. So we started seeing less short sales. Well, now they're starting to kind of poke their head again. We're starting to see short sales again. So it's good to know that the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act has been extended into 2016. So as people are coming to you needing to do short sales and you begin working that market, you're putting yourself in a position to where you can offer something of value and convince that person to not just say, forget it, I'm going to let the bank take it, which is crazy, right? Because, again, if they let the bank take it, they can be on the hook for that deficiency judgment. At least with a short sale, you can negotiate that in your agreement that they don't file a deficiency judgment against you. So you have more control of it. You have more control over the situation. No, you may not make any money, but you're not going to make no money on a foreclosure. But you control the situation. You ain't got to wake up one day and have the constable outside of your house with a U-Haul truck saying it's time to go. Nor do you have a bill coming in from the bank or from the courts saying that now you got an additional 30 grand or whatever the amount is that you now are responsible for it because it's a court order. You have more control over it. Well, that's the message that you tell these individuals. So now you create a campaign around it, like we did with the probate. Create some marketing material around it. Create a message around it. Create a strategy around it. And you start going after short sales. I say I like designations. The Certified Distressed Property Expert designation, I got that one. And the reason I got that one was because at the time we were going after REO properties. But I thought we needed that designation to get an REO agreement. Well, after I took the class, I realized that it was really geared towards short sales. So we started taking that information, started leveraging, started building a program around working with short sales. And when things pop, we had 40 listings, but 20 of them were short sale listings. And a buyer don't care he don't care if it's a short sale listing or a regular listing. All he sees is you got a bunch of properties. So you get a bunch of leads because of it. So we're gonna double back around when it comes to those short sales, because we're starting to see them again. We know that the Debt Forgiveness Act has been extended, and there's opportunity there. If you want to talk to me about how we did it, how you want to do it, if that's a sector that you want to go after, because not many people are working that sector, you got to go where people aren't. Talk to me about it. We can help you with that. All right. This one right here, home funding. Home funding provides grants to state and local governments to produce affordable housing for low-income families. Eligible uses of home include down payment assistance, rental assistance, rehabilitation of affordable housing, and development. The Omnibus, which was the name of this bill, provides $950 million for home funding. That's from a federal level. And they've increased, that was an increase of 50 million over 2015. So now the federal government is giving more money to this sector. And this money has been earmarked and is go to state and local governments. So that means Texas, Houston gets these, they have these federal funds, they have access to these federal funds to do things like affordable housing, for down payment assistance, for rental assistance, rehabilitation of affordable housing. So that's taking an affordable house and fixing it up and selling it. There's actually governmental funds for you to do that, as well as development geared towards affordable housing. So there's money that the city has that's earmarked from a federally mandated to be used for these type of things. How successful, how can you leverage that knowledge that the city of Houston has money that you can use to rehab a house as long as you're selling it to an affordable homeowner, or redevelop a community as long as it's in an affordable home owner area, right? So that's something else that was passed in this appropriations bill in 2015, the end of 2015, right? Look, there's not a lot of people that know this stuff because they're not reading the magazines, right? They're not reading. We don't read, right? So there's a lot of information that you can have access to, and then there's a lot of people that have access to the information and they don't do nothing with it, right? What I'm empowering you all to do today is get the information, then decide to do something with the information. Leverage the information, execute the information, right? And make money off of it, right? We don't have to just get caught up in this box of this is how you make money in real estate. This is what you do. No, sirree. The ones that are killing it out there, they're taking this information, they're taking those opportunities, and they're capitalizing off of it. And they need to be you. Okay, so I went a little long. I went into your coaching time this time, but I really want to get that information out. So that's my part. If we have some one-on-one, we can do that here. Get some questions answered. You got the group chat up. Let me see. Take your microphone off if you want to talk to me, and we'll go with it. Anybody have any one-on-one stuff? What, y'all shy? Y'all shy of the camera? Y'all don't want to ask me on the camera? Is that what it is? Sydney, you finna ask me something? You're on mute, man. I don't know what's up with your mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Yes, take it off mute. Thank you. What's up?
Nothing. Just so anyway, about the lead generating. So what do you feel like is the best untapped market that people aren't really just doing? Do you think it's probate, or do you think it's short sales? Because short sales, I hear, are a monster.
You said it. You hear they're a monster?
Yeah, I hear that they're really a monster. As far as that,
they're only a monster if you don't know what you're doing. The reason that people feel like they're a monster is because most people don't know what they're doing when it comes to short sales. I'm working a short sale right now in Kima. $376,000 price point. Right now, it was a challenge. We had to get the first lien holder. There's a second lien holder. There's a HOA, and we had to get all of them to agree.
Yeah.
You know, we started out at 325. The offer started out at 325, and to get the deal done, we had to get the buyer from 325 up to 376. We had to get them to agree on adding an additional 50 grand to the deal for us to do it. Right? And guess what? We got them to agree. Right? So now at that point, it's all procedural. Right? And that's why I mentioned about the CDPE, is because it teaches you the process and it keeps you up to date of what's going on from a short sale space. That community educates you, so it makes the process a lot easier, and it gives you resources to make the process easier, right? So it is a monster. But look, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why it's one of those spaces that a lot of people aren't in. Okay. And then the same thing with the probate piece. And let me tell you. So I paid at the time. I paid $700 for that CDP designation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it is gonna be an investment, right? But the return on investment on that, we're in double digits
Oh
on
wow.
return on investment.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer, because as long as you take the information and you leverage it, which we did that successfully when it came to the short sale piece, we made a lot of money off of the knowledge of that CDP, and we made it in multiple areas, not just getting it with the commission, right? Because there are other things that you can put in place that are income streams outside of just getting the commission, right? I'm not gonna say it here because we're live, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a one-on-one that we can have, and I can show you that there are other things that you can put in place, and it could still be a stream of income for you around the short sale piece. All right. I don't know. I think both of them can be fruitful. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just a matter of which one that you want to dig into, because both of them have luxury opportunities. They're luxury for short sales, just like there are people that die that have luxury properties, right? It's all procedural standpoint. I am kind of leaning more towards the probate piece, because you have an opportunity to build relationships with probate attorneys. So now there's an opportunity for you to get, multiple transactions based on that relationship that you may get by helping them liquidate some real estate for a client that they may have had, that may have been referred to you from somebody else. And then they say, oh, you do a good job. Well, look, I got these other 4 clients. I don't want to be bothered with the real estate piece. I'm gonna let you handle that piece. So there's a greater opportunity from that standpoint that you really don't see when working with the short sale piece, right?
So,
go ahead.
Okay, so as far as like probate, so it's just like selling a listing. It's nothing special. It's like just like selling a listing, just like the property. Oh, so you have to like do.
It's a different. And again, that's why a lot of people aren't in there, because they might feel like it's too hard. So that's where you want to be. And the only reason it's too hard because people don't know what they're doing. That's why, again, that certified probate real estate specialist designation, it teaches you and it trains you on how to navigate that. Right? Now, it's not dramatically more difficult. Right? It's just a little bit more difficult. It's a different knowledge base that you have to add to your repertoire. Right? You have to do things a little bit differently. Right? But again, what had us really thinking about this probate, getting involved with these probates, was an opportunity that came down the pipeline for us where we got connected with a probate attorney. And after we saw that we closed 12 transactions with him, just him, there may be something in this whole probate thing. Right. Matter of fact, we just had a client call us last week, and they were actually the very first probate deal, but I didn't know that it was a probate at the time. But the attorney had said, look, they got some property, they need to sell it, and we sold it for them. Well, by the time the attorney gave us the property, they had already did all the probate stuff. So that's why we didn't know. But now that I think back, hindsight 2020, that was actually my very first probate deal. Well, the client that we was working for at the time, he has now since passed away. Well, his sister called us, and they actually had a brother that passed away in the DC area, in the Washington area. And now we're helping them with a property. We partnered with an agent out in that area, and we're helping them liquidate that. Well, all of that came from the whole probate piece. Right? So, hold on. This is LaTanya texting, typing. I don't know why she can't get on. Okay. Anyway, but yeah. So that's from the probate piece. What else?
Yeah, shit. Okay, so how do you feel about an investment real estate agent? Like, is that a tapped into market?
Well, absolutely. You saw the buyers list thing that we created. All right. So, a lot of those, a lot of those people came from me going and networking in those investment clubs. Like the Rich Club was one of the first clubs that I got involved in. And I was able to, that's where I really got my knowledge of seeing things from an investment, like as being a licensed agent, I was able to see it from the standpoint of how investors saw things, right? And investors don't like realtors, and realtors don't like investors.
Oh wow.
For the
Okay.
most part. And the reason is because investors want to make a profit, and they see the realtor's commission as as going against their profit.
Right.
But they need the realtors because the realtors are able to do the CMAs and give them the data.
Okay, so they can't do the CMAs and get the data like that?
Yeah, because they're not trained in it and they don't have access to the information.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff on that video, RPR, Fusion, you got to be licensed to get all that stuff.
Okay, that was my next question. I don't know if you wanted me to ask you here. Yeah.
So you got to get licensed to get all that information. So the agents have access to the data. So what a lot of times the investors want to do is they want to use the agents for the data, but then they don't want to put the agent in a position to get the commission. So that's why the agents don't like the investors, because they like, look, you're just trying to use me, get these comps and all this other stuff, and then say that, oh, you're gonna let me list it when you flip it, but I'm spending all this time and I'm not making no money. And so that's why the relationship typically doesn't work.
Interesting.
Now, but because I went to the Rich Club and I see how they think, I see how realtors think, I believe it's a match made in heaven. They just need to learn how to get along. So yeah, absolutely. From an investor standpoint, there's opportunity there, but it's not just doing things from a traditional standpoint when it comes to being an agent. Like you got to do things differently. Okay. Right. So like you got to be able to get the data to the investor without it taking a bunch of your time. See, an investor, if you have a property for him, he wants to see the pictures, the comps, he wants to see all that stuff, right? Because he wants to make a quick decision on if it's a deal or not.
Right.
Yeah. If you're gonna do all of that, you better make sure you're sending that information to somebody that got cash that's gonna pull the trigger. Because there's a lot of wannabe investors out there that'll waste your time. You'll do all that, you send it to them, and then when it's time to pull the trigger, they get stage fright. They want to duck back into the shadows.
Right.
So you gotta watch out for them too.
Let me see what you got.
And, let me see the verification of funds. You paying cash? Show me the bank account. Let me show me the bank statement. And if they say, well, I don't want to show you that, well, all right, move on to the next one.
I mean, like the investors, a lot of times people say, well, let me see the CMA of the property, and sometimes they're not even.
Yeah, it's just a waste of your time.
Yeah. So they can decline an offer or a CMA or whatever that we do, and then can we come back with the new rate? I mean,
what you mean?
Price for the property? Do you get what I'm saying?
What you mean? Say it again.
So, like, let's say I do a CMA. I say, okay, I have such and such amount of property for you. It's this price. They can say, okay, that's too much, and then I can say, oh, well, that's what it is? Or can I say, oh, well, let me go see if I can get it for lower for you?
Yeah, either one. I mean, because at the end of the day, your commission is you're gonna have to get paid, right? So it's like, okay, I use this as an example. Say we're working on a deal, and we know the buyer is gonna take 30, so we market it for 40. All right, so that means our commission at that, we got 10. We get somebody to buy for 40. There's a $10,000 spread in there to cover commissions, closing costs, all that stuff. All right. Well, if I show it to my investor and he says, well, I ain't gonna pay 40, I'm pay 35. All right. Well, now that 10,000 has now become 5,000.
Right.
So now you ask yourself, is it worth me losing the 5 for this guy, or do I wait to get a higher amount, or do I just go ahead and cut my loss, take the 5, and then get this one done and move on to the next? Like that's the type of thinking that you go into when we're talking about the way it's structured. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you negotiating your money.
Okay. So when I send a CMA, can he cut me out of the deal after I send him the CMA?
Well, no, because the CMA isn't, as long as you don't never connect the buyer and the seller, that's the biggest part. You can't connect the buyer and the seller, right? Because people will tell you, oh, I won't mess over you, I won't do this, I won't do that. But look, I only bet on things that I can control.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the only thing I can control, I feel like I can only be in control when the buyer and the seller need me to be able to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Once I give away that, then I'm in the hands of somebody else.
Right. And they should respect that, right? The investors should
You
understand
can't
that.
control it. That's what I'm saying. Like it really ain't about what person should or should not do, because you can't control what people do. So I don't ever put them in a position to where they have to make that decision. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So you coming to see me tomorrow? Because
Yeah.
this morning was, I get ready for these calls, and then I had a conference call too. So this morning was just bad.
Yeah. So tomorrow's good. Yeah. But what time? You said 9?
9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be good. I need RPR and all that other stuff. So, I mean, like, training on that just a little bit. I watched your video in its entirety twice. So.
But watch it one more time before you come tomorrow.
Okay. And I already started typing up what I could do.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. As always, if you got anything, reach out to me.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. Did Brooks walk in?
Say it again.
Did Brooks walk in?
Yeah, he trying to talk to me as if I'm not on live broadcast. I'm broadcasting, brother.
No, bro. I just heard you tell her goodbye. What's going on with you?
I ain't stopped broadcasting yet. Bye, Sydney.
I said bye.
Bye, world. Let's say bye to the world. I'm about to start working my business partner.